Hey everyone, welcome back to another film review with me, Bo, here on the Film Scene Investigation channel. Thank you so much for checking out the video. In today's review, I'm taking a look at the 1993 drama Red Rock West. As always, guys, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. All the support is greatly appreciated. So, Red Rock West from 1993 was written and directed by the filmmaker John Dahl and had a stellar cast that included actors Nicolas Cage, Dennis Hopper, and J.T. Walsh. The film was shot on location in Arizona and cost the studio around about $7.5 million to produce. Subsequently, the movie only managed to recoup 2.5. Now, this is a movie that only came to my attention recently after it was recommended to me. I'm a big fan of Nicolas Cage, and I've seen many of his films over the years, but Red Rock West wasn't one of them. Watching the trailer online and discovering that Dennis Hopper was also involved in this movie, it definitely piqued my interest. In terms of the narrative, the story followed the character Mike, who was played by Nicolas Cage, an ex-Marine with a bad leg, who was, pretty much down and out when we first saw him. After being turned down for a job at an oil rig, Mike decided to head to the nearest town, which was Red Rock, in the hope of finding some work. Once he arrived, he entered a bar where he met the owner, a guy called Wayne, who was played by J.T. Walsh. The owner presumed that Mike was a hitman, the same hitman that he had ordered from Dallas, Texas, to come and murder his wife. Because Mike was down on his luck with no real prospects of actually getting a job, he played along and pretended to be the hitman Wayne assumed he was. Within minutes, Wayne was handing over cash and informing Mike of the assassination plans. Mike just went along with everything Wayne was saying, not giving up his true identity. So the plan was set. Mike had agreed to do the job and murder Wayne's wife, but instead of doing the smart thing and taking Wayne's money and just riding out of town, Mike decided to do his own digging on the wife, who was played by actress Lara Flynn Boyle. He wanted to warn her about what was going on, so he sneaked into a house and confronted her about the assassination attempt. While this was a pretty serious revelation, the wife, Susanna, didn't seem all that surprised. It was almost like it was something she would expect her husband to do. In a surprising twist, the wife then offered Mike even more money to then go and kill her husband, Wayne. She wanted her own revenge, and she wanted Mike to carry it out. Mike reluctantly agreed and ended up taking her money too. At this point, Mike had to be thinking, he'd hit the big time, having all this cash without actually having to do anything. He was playing both sides, and neither Wayne or Susan had any idea what was actually going on. Mike then finally came to his senses and decided to leave town, but not before leaving a note for the sheriff. The Mike character was a noble guy, and he wanted to warn the sheriff about what was going on in case any harm came to the wife. He then exited Red Rock during a thunderstorm. Rain was pouring, he had very poor visibility, and out of nowhere, he ran over a man accidentally. And even though he tried to, put on the brakes, he still hit him. It all happened so quick. Mike had no real time to react correctly. And yeah, the guy was severely injured. Once again, we saw Mike do the right thing by getting out of his car and trying to help. It was going to, of course, screw up his plans, but he knew that he had to get the guy to a hospital very quickly. But after Mike was successful in getting the man to hospital, the authorities then suddenly wanted to question him. The police were suspicious about the circumstances in which the man had been run over and assumed that Mike was responsible. Of course, Mike was confused since he was the guy that had driven the injured man to the hospital and saved his life in the process. In another surprising twist, the sheriff of Red Rock then showed up at the hospital, and it turned out to be none other than Wayne Brown, the same Wayne Brown who was at the bar and had handed money over to Mike to kill his wife. This reveal definitely caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting to see Wayne pop up as the sheriff. And at this point, Mike knew that he'd been set up. Not only was it confusing for Mike, but as a viewer, you was asking these questions like, okay, so this guy has a dual identity, what's going on here? Like, how does that work? As things then escalated further, the real hitman from Dallas, Texas, a man called Lyle, who was played by actor Dennis Hopper, showed up to complete his assignment. The hitman was a psychopath. He was a no-good scumbag who had no issues killing people for money, and Wayne's wife was next on his hit list. Now, I won't go into any more detail about the story and, give it away, but let's just say there was a lot of betrayal and a lot of backstabbing. The film slowly peeled back all the different layers the characters had, and it was very interesting to see it all play out. When it comes to the performances, I thought actor Nicolas Cage was a solid leading man, playing the morally compromised protagonist Mike Williams. He felt believable in the role, playing this down-and-out drifter who was, just looking for an opportunity. Unlike the traditional noir protagonists who usually succumb to their flaws, Mike's refusal to kill anyone, kept his nobility intact, and that was nice to see. In some ways, you could kind of look at Mike's journey as a reflection of our own current struggles as we try to maintain our moral code in a world full of deceit and corruption. Dennis Hopper, who played the psychopathic hitman Lyle from Dallas, Texas, was a constant chaotic force once he showed up in the film. The actor delivered his usual highly charged performance that we've all come to love and expect. I do prefer his more serious and quieter roles, but still, Hopper was very entertaining here, and it seemed like the actor was having a good time filming it as well. I have to say, it was great to see Nicolas Cage and Dennis Hopper share the screen together. I'm a big fan of both actors. I've seen many of their films individually, and I had no idea that they'd actually worked together in the past. So yeah, I loved it, and great casting. I guess I was most impressed with actor J.T. Walsh and his performance as the sheriff of Red Rock, Wayne Brown. The character had this intense look about him that conveyed his sinister nature, So when it turned out that he was a liar and a cheat, I wasn't all that surprised. The actor's ability to switch Wayne's persona from friendly to menacing only amplified the character's unpredictability, which made him a formidable bad guy. Now, I'm not all that familiar with JT Walsh, but I really liked him in this movie. He really was a standout, and I would go as far to say that he was actually better than both Nicolas Cage and Dennis Hopper, and, that's saying something. I thought Mark Rosowski, the cinematographer, did a great job handling the visual aspects of Red Rock West, taking into account the monetary limitations that the filmmakers had to face during production and, also seeing the end result. I would go as far as to say that Red Rock West is a masterclass in how you can make a great movie on a low budget. And so, dislikes for Red Rock West from 1993. My biggest dislike for the film would have to be Mike's poor decision-making that led to several silly and illogical moments. For example, at one point in the movie, Mike was hanging off the back of a truck escaping Red Rock until he decided to go back and warn Wayne's wife about what was going on. As much as it was interesting to see where the story was going, I did feel that it was a pretty stupid idea for Mike to go back and meet her. I understand that he wanted to warn her about the actual hitman that was, coming after her, but in reality, couldn't he have just, called her or maybe called the police and sent them there to the house? I understand that Mike just, wanted to do the right thing and, kind of save the day. But in actuality, it just made him look stupid. And I have to ask myself, why would Mike jeopardize his life for a woman that he barely knew? And then later on, once they eventually left Red Rock, they ended up at a bar having a drink. And I don't know, I was just kind of like, can we hurry this up? It just kind of prolonged the movie and it was unnecessary. The removal or the trimming of some of these scenes would have actually have given the film a tighter pace. As it stands, I think it's a very good movie, but it does lose some steam as the story progressed. And so, ratings for Red Rock West from 1993. I'm going to be rating this movie a 4.9 out of 10, with its twists and turns and its intriguing character dynamics. Red Rock West was a very entertaining watch. Taking into account the desolate setting of the film and also the drifter protagonist, it's clear that the filmmakers were attempting to blend the neo-noir genre with the Wild West, which evidently makes it a very unique piece of cinema. Even though this movie came out over 30 years ago, the depiction of the town of Red Rock with all the greed and corruption, I feel will still resonate with modern audiences today. I say that because in our reality, in this time now, we see the economic decay that's taking over the Western world, which subsequently makes this movie still relevant. I have to mention the filmmaker John Dahl, who went on to direct another movie that I've reviewed on this channel, the drama The Last Seduction. Having seen both of these films now, I will say he is a very talented filmmaker and I'll definitely be checking out more of his work. The director has this amazing ability to craft these very complex characters in a very low budget setting, which actually makes him quite an accomplished director. While this was a well-made production with a story that had a lot of potential, I have to say it wasn't all that noteworthy. So I can kind of understand why this movie kind of gets forgotten. Still, if you're a fan of the actor Nicolas Cage, then I would definitely suggest checking this out, as I feel this is one of his better understated performances. If you've seen Rock Westx, let me know your thoughts and memories in the comment section below. For those who haven't, I would suggest you do, but don't expect too much. And well, that's all from me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll be back next week with another cult movie review. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, take care.